Hello, and welcome to today's Industry Week webinar, Future-Proof Your Manufacturing Operations, Stories of the Journey to Confident Agility with AI, sponsored by Tech-Clarity and MESA International. My name is Dennis Semeka, Senior Editor for Technology at Industry Week. Before we begin, let me explain how you can participate in today's presentation. If at any time you are having audio difficulties or video difficulties, simply hit your F5 key to refresh your console desktop. If you are running pop-up blocking software, you will need to disable it to view the webinar. If you have any technical difficulties during today's session, please press the help icon on the left rail of your console to receive assistance in solving common issues. This webinar technology allows you to resize the presentation by clicking the maximize icon in the upper right corner to enlarge the window. Don't forget to check out the resources component on your console desktop for information provided by our sponsors Tech-Clarity and MESA International. We welcome your questions during today's event. To submit your questions, simply type your question into the Q&A component on the left side of your console and then hit the submit button. We'll be answering as many questions as possible during the Q&A session that will follow the main presentation. Please feel free to send in your questions at any time and we'll add them to the queue. Please also be aware that today's session is being recorded and will be available on the Industry Week website within the next day for you to review. You'll be notified by email when the archive is available. When the webinar ends, please take a moment to complete the feedback form that will appear on your screen. I'd now like to welcome our panel moderator. Julie Frazier, Vice President for Research for Operations and Manufacturing at Tech-Clarity, has over 35 years of experience in the manufacturing software industry. She is an enthusiastic reader, author, and speaker, and has a passion for manufacturing progress and performance gains through smart manufacturing strategies supported by software. Julie is actively researching the impact of digital transformation and technology conversions in the manufacturing industries with a focus on supply chain and plant floor. For more information about Julie and our panelists, please check the Speaker Details tab on your console. With that, Julie, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dennis. So first of all, I'd like to introduce the other panelists, the real experts. I'm a researcher. They actually are living this. So I'm going to go in order that they are on this slide, which is, hopefully it'll be easier to follow along. So Jason Bassett is the IT manager at Madson's Custom Cabinets and has been in this position at Madson's, which is an architectural millwork company in Alberta, Canada, for nearly 15 years. Jason has spent over 35 years in the IT industry doing everything from support to system design and ERP implementation in both the UK and Canada. His current focus is on the development and testing of new processes to achieve data accuracy and efficiency, to push toward a paperless workplace and promote a single data set environment in a manufacturing business. David Batet is Chief Technology Officer for DigiProcess. This is a leading company in the electronic manufacturing services space. With a solid track record in the industry, David focuses on technological innovation, process digitalization, and the implementation of high-value strategies to optimize production and material management. With a strategic vision centered on competitiveness and sustainability, David actively contributes to digital transformation, bridging technology and business for operational excellence. And we also have with us today Nasser Ahmad, who is Director of Digitalization for Höganäs. He has been the director there and Höganäs is a powder metals maker since September 2023. He joined them in the USA in October of 2005. His previous work experience includes operations, automation, process improvements, and CapEx projects in iron powder and high alloys powder manufacturing. He was a vice president of operations for high alloys, engineering manager for NAH, plant manager, high alloys, and engineering manager for Kobelco. He has an MSc in industrial engineering and a BSc in mechanical engineering and an MBA. So these are our esteemed panelists for today. I think you will greatly enjoy their real world experiences that match up to some of what our research talked about. So our discussion today is really sparked by a new research project that Tech-Clarity did in conjunction with not-for-profit association MESA International. We surveyed manufacturing company individuals in December and January. We got over 420 responses. And we focused on how to ensure you get value from analytics and AI projects. So in addition to the survey, people like our panelists also contributed to interviews. So we have real-world quotes included in the report from this, as well as many charts and graphs showing the data from those over 400 responses. So it was a really wonderful project, and I have really enjoyed working with all of these guys to get it where it is. We also had sponsors. We also had sponsors for this project. Aegis and its Factory Logic MES software, Arch Systems and its Glow and Process Insights AI and intelligence for the factory, Epicor and its Kinetic ERP, which includes Prism Agentic AI and a wide variety of MES and related functionality, and GE Vernova with its Prophecy suite of software that includes the Data Hub and Industrial Data Ops. So we have had wonderful support from these companies and their people as well, helping us to really, I think, get to a good level of quality in the work that we put together. So thank you so much to our sponsors. Without them, first of all, our panelists wouldn't be here because they are customers of these companies, and we really wouldn't have been able to do the research because it was a big undertaking. So thank you to all the sponsors. So let me get right down into the details. One of the first questions that we asked, just sort of to set the stage, was what is the status of your company's smart manufacturing initiative? And what you'll see is the majority of the customers or the companies that we had in our survey really were sort of in the middle. They had several projects started or many initiatives underway, but there were a few that had already made significant progress on the right-hand side and who have actually gained benefits already. So, you know, there's a whole range, and it's okay. Wherever you are on your journey, we're hoping that you will be able to benefit from what we learned in this research about how to make smart manufacturing, AI, and analytics useful for your company. So what I'd really like to do is to have each of our panelists introduce themselves, the company sort of a little bit more situation that they were in, what has been driving their digitalization, and a little bit of a story, a little bit of a status, so that people have an idea of where you sit and what you're going to sort of the viewpoint from which you're talking today. So Nasser, if I may, I'd like to start with you, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about where you stand with smart manufacturing or digitalization.
Sure. First of all, hello everyone. So Höganäs itself is a metal powder manufacturer from Sweden. It's a 225-year-old company, and we are pretty good in Industry 3.0 level. Like, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of automation, and we collect a lot of data in our processes. We have about 17 plants around the globe, and all the data being collected, we wanted to see how we can make our system more smarter, give that autonomy to the system itself with AI and the data analytics. So we started small. We did not want to make it too big because it's very hard to, first of all, the resource side and to control that project. So we made a POC project in which we ran one process, looked at 10 years of data, then we looked at 2 years of data, and we created a control of quality against the process parameters. So that's what we did last year, and now we are looking forward to making the next POC and going in those steps from learning from the past and moving on.
So, oh, that's great. So yes, the proof of concept is a great way to start. Jason, tell us a little bit about what's been going on at Madsons.
Well, we're a custom architectural millwork company, and everything that we do in the industry really is custom. No two projects are the same. So we have a lot of data that's being archived, but sometimes we have to refresh and bring that data up and have a look at it as reference for future projects. So that's one thing. For us, the industry used to revolve around, architectural drawings on great big sheets of paper. And as soon as they go down onto our shop floor and someone makes a change on there, slight change, we now have two data sets. We've got the one that's in the design program, we've got the one on the shop floor, and then sometimes when those drawings end up going out to site, when we install the project, we end up with a third data set. So that was our main focus for this one, to move away from paper and get ourselves a single data set just for accuracy. So that's where we are currently. We're just moving away from all the old school stuff. Not so much all of it, but with the emergence of technology, that's where we're going.
Wonderful. Okay, David, what's happening there? Did you process? Uh-oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. So we are an electronics manufacturing services company located in Barcelona. And like 3.5 years ago, we decided to make a strategic change and move towards another type of customer that was more demanding on the level of quality and the traceability mainly. So that brought us to choose or invest in the technology of an MES. That's what we did. We have been working on deploying this system, and that brought us to where we are today, which is having this digitalization in our plan thanks to the software. And well, next steps are, since we have now this data, to go to the next step with machine learning algorithms.
Wonderful. Yes, MES is a big undertaking, so congratulations on that. And getting to the point where you feel like the data is ready to be analyzed in machine learning. That's great.
Correct.
So let's just keep moving through. We've got you guys have so much rich information. I want to make sure we get through as much of what you want to talk about as possible. But our research shows, as it did in 2022, that advanced industrial analytics is the most likely software project to have the fastest positive impact. So the benefits go across many performance areas, both operational and business performance. So as you can see here, there are just a few areas that we pulled off the top of the list. Most people who are using analytics are finding that it helps them reduce their costs, increase their efficiency and productivity, improve their quality, and help with error proofing. And then on a more sort of supply chain business level, it helps them make sure that they can get their orders out on time and as ordered. So that perfect orders is a really important business metric for the supply chain. So these are pretty big numbers. I mean, this is more than half of the people who implemented analytics are finding they're getting these benefits. So I'd just like each of you to sort of chime in on what advanced analytics and AI add to your manufacturing or production digitalization mix and sort of the benefits that you've seen. Maybe we'll go in the opposite order. Maybe David, can you go first?
Yeah, well, as said, we first implemented and we are ready with it, the MES, and now we have all these descriptive analytics, right? And this is a pretty different scenario in our shop floor today, because we have all this visual management, getting the data from all the connected machines thanks to the MES, and this is helping a lot towards efficiency, the times to change jobs, and all these kind of things that make us be operational more effective, right? So this is already a major step for us, and I think that again now it's time, and we are starting to do it, to apply with preventive things, right? So we now use this data combined from several databases, and we are able to start projects on, for instance, to help us towards the setup of machines that previously were difficult to set up. Yeah. So this is a clear example on something we are doing with this data that we already have.
Great. And I should just mention, for those of you who aren't in the electronics industry, that electronics manufacturing services is what a lot of people would call contract manufacturing. Right. So DigiProcess really is the manufacturing capability for many other companies, just to make that super clear. All right. Jason, how about you guys? Where are you seeing benefits?
We're looking at cost savings and time savings, really. So some of the things that we are looking at, we're an early adopter for Epicor's Prism and their Knowledge Assistant. So we're lucky enough to get an early look at how that's going to help. So we're focusing on time savings, and at the minute, the majority of the time savings are allowing the users to ask the system questions to retrieve the data instead of asking an IT department. Especially for smaller IT departments, it's going to be great because they can get a response a lot quicker, and then move on with whatever task that they're getting the information for. So that for us is a high value, because it's the only way we're going to go, especially after the COVID situation, and everyone's looking at cost savings and how they can do things more efficiently and ruling out errors. You know, the 54% of people on error proofing, that's also big for us because of so many people being involved in the task. So that's where we're focusing. You know, we're focusing on those things, and hopefully it's looking good right now. So
that's great. That's great. And of course, your situation is, you know, as you say, there are so many people involved, because typically you're either building a building or renovating a building, and you have the architects and the construction people and the planners, and, you know, and then, as you say, you've got the millwork, but there's people with flooring or walls or whatever, right? So it is a very complex ecosystem that needs to come together for the end customer to get what they need.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that go before us in the entire process, and there's others that come after us. Not too many, but you know, we're usually one of the last to go into a building and finish our work. But the timings are critical, you know, and everyone's trying to do the same thing and push. And they've also got their own suppliers, and the suppliers have got the manufacturers to deal with. So yeah, you're right. It is quite an ecosystem.
All right, great. Nasser, what are you seeing for benefits from AI and analytics in your situation?
Yeah. So we are definitely, any project we have picked up is all about business case. You know, there has to be a strong business case to pick a project up, even for POC. There are three areas. I'll lump all the cost reduction in the 5 categories you have, because if it's right first time, if there's error proofing, if we are doing high productivity, all that lumps to cost reduction. We have 2 other categories. One is safety, which is high on Hogan's list. It's very high. And the third one is sustainability, carbon footprint. So those are the 3 areas. So I'll lump all our 5 categories here as cost reduction. then sustainability and safety. So our projects have been connected to that. The POC we did with GE Vernova, and we are continuing with other projects with GE Vernova, are connected with safety, sustainability, as well as cost reduction. So that's the approach we are taking.
Wonderful. So you can see just with these 3 different manufacturing companies that there are different benefits and objectives that you can achieve depending on what's important for your organization. I think that's what we saw in this research over and over. If you focus it, it will get you what you need. So we touched just very briefly about descriptive analytics, which are sort of telling you what's going on right now. So in our research, most companies are using dashboards, reporting, and advanced analytics to describe and summarize. But you can see that there's a fair number that are also using some form of AI or machine learning, and some are using generative AI as well. So there's a lot of ways that you can look at your operation and understand what's happening better. So again, I'd kind of like each of you to give a little view of what types of analytics and AI you're using today. We're kind of assuming that most of you, like the people here, are using KPIs and dashboards. And so the question is, are you using predictive AI or machine learning for some of this as well? Are you using generative AI? So Nasser, you want to take that one?
Yes, I can. In case of Industry 3.0, like I said, which is like having a lot of data, having dashboards, having information on the screen, we had it. But the challenge is that the time to take a decision is getting shorter and shorter with the data we get. And just having something on the dashboard does not cut it, because the new tools are there, and those new tools are having analytics and smart AI system that can tell what needs to be done and actually are in the closed loop for making those actions happen. So our approach has been that yes, we have the data, our operators can see it, but how can we make our system more smarter with AI and analytical tools? So all our POC and all our work is geared towards it. We will do some more improvements in MES side, but our focus is on making our system more smarter. So like I said, GE Vernova systems that we are using is C-Sense module. That's what the analytics are. And then on our office side or administration side, we are also looking at RPAs and having the RPAs which are more smarter.
So that's reasonably sophisticated. I think for a lot of companies, that's still a few steps away. But let's hear a little more. David, what are you seeing in your situation now that you've got your MES in place?
And I just want to clarify, we are just at the start, right? So
okay,
that's the approach. It's not that we are there yet. We're just at the start. Yes.
But it's an interesting concept to say, we're not satisfied with just seeing what's happening on a dashboard. We want the system itself to be smarter. And so that's why you're going after RPA and advanced analytics. So
perfect. Yes.
Yeah. Great. Muted again, David. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So again, our efforts brought us to this visual management. So today we have these big screens in our plant, and I can now go and say today it's a good day or it's a bad day just by looking at this real data coming from the machines, right? And this is key for improving the performance every minute in the shop floor. Then, of course, we are having some pilot projects for crossing this data and doing some predictive analytics, and this is something we are working on today. And also, we are looking at this generative AI for helping in our shop floor too. So we are cooperating with rack as a service companies for creating our context, our information in our databases to be the context for the information that should be retrieved thanks to this generative AI in the shop floor. So these are projects we are working on.
Great. Nasser, initially in the initial conversation, there was more that you added some more detail. So we could, I just realized that's what we did last time. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your machine learning approach?
Yes. So what we did was we picked a process which is kind of the heart of our manufacturing. It's the first stage where we produce powder, and whatever we produce, we have to live with it. Okay, if it is bad, we have to live with it. It's good, we have to live with it. So we wanted to have that process where there's a lot of melting of steel happening. A lot of safety issues can be resolved. The quality, whatever we get, we have to live with it. So we went back and said, okay, we collect data every 3 to 5 seconds, maybe sometime 9 seconds, but it's a very, so every batch we make, we have about 135,000 data points. So we went back 2 years. We looked at how the analytics tells us what parameters can improve our quality and make it more consistent the first time and make it safer. So we ran those models through the analytics with, like I said, the C-Sense was the tool we used. And if we go back and we look at how it improves, it's between 1 and 2% improvement potential that we see, which is huge. Like 1% in manufacturing is a big number. So we are still in the process of testing it on our floor. We just started that. And we see that it's going to have a potential to make it consistent, safe, and also we're looking at the CO2 emissions, so the carbon footprint is covered. So it is very interesting. It was the first test, and my recommendation is pick something which can be like spread out, can prove the concept, keep it simple, and then from there you can grow.
That's great. That's really fascinating. Jason, what about in your environment?
Well, the industries I'd call it an old school industry. Cabinet makers using low tech tools and everything else like that, especially from the custom side when we're doing reception desks and wall paneling and that kind of product. So we had to first digitize the drawings, the shop drawings, and give the guys on the shop floor real-time data and changes that are coming from our engineering department. So once that was done, we could rule out a few different errors from size changes or design changes. And from there, we're looking at maybe targeting scheduling next as one of our projects, because as I said before, the industry it's quite a live ecosystem. There's a lot of things in play, and when scheduling, I say it's like trying to hit an F-15 with a pop gun. Trying to throw a dart at that it's quite difficult. So lining up those ducks. Sometimes I think we need help, and I'm hoping the AI can help us with that and allow us to do it. But right now we're using a lot of KPI and dashboards for seeing how things are going. So hopefully soon we'll get more into the predictive side of things and go from there.
Fantastic. David, is that ringing any bells for you?
Yeah, I mean, we had the same problems as Jace with these work instructions in our case that were in paper in the shop floor, and then it was key for us to get rid of that paper and have the control on this documentation, right? So today, from the documentation package received from our customers, we digitize directly thanks to our MES, and then we trace the whole batch of products we are manufacturing, the process, people, and also the work instruction towards this original package of the customer. So this is a great step forward for us, and the benefit is enormous.
Wonderful. Yeah. So we're making business progress with these digital approaches. It's just a wonderful thing. So again, there's a lot of variations on the theme for analytics. So, we talked a little bit about descriptive. Now, in the predictive area, which we have been touching on a little bit, our research showed that, so this is actually about what are the challenges in adopting these technologies. So for predictive analytics, the top issue, and again, so this is a little bit of a complex chart, but the darker blue bars are on the top are the percentage of the companies who are already using predictive analytics, and the lighter blue bars are the people who are not yet using predictive analytics. And so the top bars really are, here are the actual problems that people encountered, and the lighter blue bars are the ones that people anticipate they might encounter, but they're not actually using that yet. So the top issue that people actually encounter is inadequate data to train the model or the algorithm, followed by a lack of data science skills and an inability to scale from a pilot or a proof of concept up to a broader use. And you can see there's some other issues that pop up too. One of the things I thought was interesting is that people who aren't using predictive analytics expected a lack of trust or cultural resistance, but a lot fewer of the people who are actually using the analytics have run into that. So I think that's worth mentioning a little bit too. So again, I'm just going to open it up for you guys to sort of pop in and tell me what kinds of challenges, or tell our audience what kind of challenges you've had to overcome, what work you've had to do to get to where you are with your analytics and AI. It sounds like you're starting to build some momentum. So what did you have to do? Was data readiness the biggest issue for you as well? Jason?
For us, it is. It's a trust in the data that you currently have, how many different bits of software you're trying to pull the data from. And it comes back to usual garbage in, the garbage data out, that kind of thing. So cleaning up the data, having the trust in that. We moved from on-premise servers and software to the Epicor Cloud suite. So that was quite a big move for us. And sometimes it was scary, it was a bumpy ride, but we saw the plus side of new technologies and always having something new for us to try out and clean up our data and make it more useful to all the users. With it being in the cloud, it also allows our on-site installers to have tablet computers. They can now access the same information that we can in the office. So gives them real-time information, which is really good for us. Challenges, I don't think we have too many challenges with regards to sensitive information or anything else like that. The only thing that we need to secure for us at Madson's is usually the HR side, the payroll side of things. But other than that, we don't have any information that shouldn't get out. So that's that's an easier thing for us. So we can just move on with the other more important options that we've got to work on.
Well, that's great. David, what kinds of challenges have you had to overcome?
So yeah, so far for this digitalization through the MES, what was really tough was the cultural change. So employees, the operators were not used to do some tasks like scanning, for instance, that now need to be done. And when they don't see the value on it, if they don't understand the philosophy behind or why it's important to do so, then things are not happening in the way you want, or you think they are okay, but they are not. So this was tough. For this new season with AI, what we start seeing is that we need to set policies for in each department of the company for them being the owners of the data that their department is generating, so that they can have some surveillance on how this data is generated, polishing it if needed before having it available for systems to use this data, or this term, the single source of truth, right? I mean, if the company name for a supplier is X, then it should be X in all databases and not XY in another database. And these kind of things now are important, because without this filtered data, it's very difficult to apply machine learning or have good generative AI in place.
Yeah, so sort of making sure people own the data and that you have the processes in place for data governance, so that they have sort of a guideline, some rules to follow, or some guardrails. That makes a lot of sense. Nasser, what are you finding in your environment?
I was reading the questions, so I think I can cover most of them along with this. The manufacturing, the challenge is that in our process data, manufacturing data, which is time series data, and our event or batch data are completely different. So the ERP has the batch data, while the event-based or the time series data is in our manufacturing, which is ABB system or PLC systems. So the biggest challenge we had was how to connect our time series with the batch data, to pull the data from the time series into Historian for GE, and then pull the data from ERP batch data into Historian for GE and connect them together was the biggest breakthrough that we had. Once we had that, cleaning the data, analytics of that data, all that worked out. So I think the biggest hurdle in our case was just to pull all that information in one place and make it connected. So that's the biggest challenge I think that we saw. We are not on cloud. We are on premise because of the security reasons. We are looking into cloud, but that is to come. So we did everything on our premises. But like I said, the challenge is to connect the different pools of data you have in manufacturing at one place and then work with the analytics on it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I think it's, people sometimes say manufacturing is a laggard industry. And I think that's why, that our industry, we have so much diverse data, and some of it is so sort of crucial to our business. So very, very well put. Is there anything else on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What David said about data accuracy and attention to detail is really going to get you if you're not on it.
That's true. That's true. I mean, one of the things that came up during the course of this research project is, historically, people talked about Six Sigma quality, right, in manufacturing. And that's not nearly close enough to the quality we need for our data, for our analytics and AI systems to give us the results we need. We've got to do a really good job, really sort of have perfect data.
Yeah.
I like this term, this data as an asset. So it's not only the machines, right? It's only the data that in the end will help us earn more money, have more profit because of having this data in the correct shape.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I would like to add, I see on the lower side, it talks about the buy-in, which is, to me, is one of the biggest challenges, right? To have a buy-in from the leadership and have some sponsor in the leadership, and the cultural resistance. Those two, even though it looks like we have a lower number on them, they're actually the biggest ones, because once you have them, then you can do the rest of the things. And for that part, I believe that, like I said, pick a business case, pick a project which is a small and can be successful and can build upon for the future. Don't make it too big, and go with whatever is your key your performance indicators, like the conversion cost, safety, sustainability, which is like for everyone right now, sustainability is a big one. So go with those, pick something which you have support on, and the cultural resistance, normally pick a department and a group which wants to have it, wants to make it a success. So the first few have to be small, clear, and then you will build upon them.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes, how to sort of start off in a safe way.
Mhm.
So that's great. All right, let's keep moving. I'm hoping David is be able to come right back in, because really the next question is one that all of you have some really interesting things to share. So anybody who's been around AI for very long has probably heard this term of use cases, which, you know, in other areas you might just call it, where do I apply this technology? What's the problem I'm trying to solve? And so one of the things that we asked about is, like, what is your process to select the right use cases? Because as Nasser just said, it has to be something that's focused and that's going to have business value. So so anyway, we asked about sort of different aspects. Is it based on business value? Well, for the top performers, about half of the time it is.
Right.
And then is it effective? So a lot of people, almost half of both groups, thought that their approach was effective. But again, the top performers were more likely to have it based on business value and aligned to their business strategy. It's interesting. I thought having it standardized might also, I mean, standardized is a good thing, but it's maybe not as crucial as ensuring. So again, especially if you're a larger company and you have, or actually not necessarily any company, right? You have different groups who need different things. So it could be different plants, but it could also be different disciplines, right? Your engineering team might need something different from your operations and manufacturing team, from your quality team, from your scheduling team, right? All of those people have priorities. So you don't necessarily need to standardize it so much as you need to make sure that whatever use case they point to, it is based on business value and it is aligned to your business strategy to ensure that that all lines up and you get what you most need. So let's talk a little bit, guys. You know, where do you see your analytics and AI efforts? I think you've all talked about picking your cases a little bit, and maybe there's more there, but how do you pick your use cases? Where do you see the next efforts focusing based on sort of what you're seeing so far in your journey? Nasser?
I think I want to point out what you mentioned about standardization. one of the biggest things that we kept in our mind, back of our mind, was where do we want to see ourselves in the future? And any business case, anything we do, how should we grow upon it? Like it should not be just isolated case. So for us, standardization and having a common platform was one of the biggest key factors to select which software and which company we'll go with. And that was the reason we went with GE Vernova, because we said, okay, they have a prophecy platform, they have different modules, we can grow upon them, we can put them in different places in our in globally we can have it, but we'll start small. We'll start with one example which can go in 16 17 different processes, and then we can use the same software and platform again and again in every case. So to me, standardization, and again, even if you're a small company, one plant, one location, standardization would make it better, because as you grow, you will have economy of scale. As you grow, it would be easier to train in-house and have outside help for you.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I think, yes, you want to have something, and that,
Right.
as we saw before, was one of the issues, is that companies struggle to get from a pilot to a broader use case, and that the standardization of the use case you pick would absolutely speak to that challenge. So great. Jason, what are you seeing in terms of picking use cases?
We're starting off with low cost, no cost use cases. Anything that we can see little benefits. For me, I like to see the users see the benefits. The department heads, if they get a response from AI, a question that they've asked Epicor Prism, and it gives them the right answer, it gives them the confidence to ask the next question and follow-up questions, instead of automatically going to the IT team or another member of staff and involving someone else. So that's where we're going to get cost reductions. So if they can see the small wins from their little task, then it will see, the company as a whole will see a benefit. So the buy-in, as NASA said, is crucial. Once you get buy-in from not just the upper leadership, but department heads, any supervisors, they've got to see the benefits as well. And then the users will see the benefit, and then everyone will see the benefit. The company bottom line sees the benefit. So that's where we're going. Is looking for saving a person 10 minutes in their day. That's when they're going to start seeing the benefits. Or a department might see 5 hours or 3 hours. And for us, an example of that would be if our estimators can save 3, 4, maybe 5 hours per week by having something that's like a manual process done for them, then those 5 hours may turn into 3 or 4 more quotes that they hunt out to the client per week, which may work out to 1 new contract per week. So just those little ones, it will be a trickle effect, and you'll see it.
Little wins, little wins add up.
Yeah.
Now, David, you look like you're about to chime in.
Yeah, well, I'm a lot aligned with what Nasser and Jay are saying. I mean, each and every department and production, of course, they have their operational goals, and they need to improve. So important thing is that from management, obviously we empower them to investigate in what ways they can have little wins, and of course the cheaper the better, because in the beginning we don't know if that path they are following will be a success. So we start small, and then with these little wins and with the confidence, we can. And also, I'd like to share with you, in regards to this topic of no cost, we recently started working with a supplier with this robot as a service concept, which means them having a collaborative robot being trained on our environment, but as simulation, with our parts simulated, everything simulated. So with this agentic AI applied to the robot, they are training the sequence of the robot for doing these tasks. In our case, is for test equipment, for testing the products before going out to the customer, and the project looks promising. And this non-recurrent engineering that was to be paid before, when doing a project with robots, with this robot as a service, you are only paying for the salary of the robot. So this is also this combination of machine learning, AI, and these robots physically doing the tasks.
Wow, that's a fascinating combination of technologies coming together to deliver a different level of service. So I love it. That's really, really cool. All right, well, we're getting toward the end of our time together. So what I'm going to do now is sort of ask for advice. I want to just have each of us, share a couple of just ideas, recommendations, advice, tips, whatever you want to call it. So two of mine that came out of our research. First one is, as we're hearing from all of you, invest now in smart manufacturing, data foundations, and analytics. The benefits from what we see in our research, they appear to build and expand to other areas over time. So the second thing I would say is build your manufacturing data management foundation. Each of you talked a little bit about that. Know that you don't have to have all your data completely cleansed and ready to go before you get started. If you look at a use case and figure out which data is relevant for that use case and really focus on that, then you can start the momentum. I've been hearing about the momentum you're building, and that first project, if you can just figure out that data and get that nice and clean and ready to go, then you'll also learn what else you might need to do throughout the rest of your organization. So those are the two big things that I would put out there. So what's the number one or a couple of top pieces of advice you would take for others who are just starting their AI and advanced manufacturing analytics journey? David?
Yeah, to me, since with this experience we had deploying the MES, we initially thought it would be like 1.5 year journey, but it was 3 years, and it was tough. And we learned from that if you don't do some pre-culturalization of the people, training them on what's to come, then it's more difficult. So for this new season with AI that we are starting going through, we are really changing the way we are doing it. So from minute one, we are sharing information on the technologies that we have on the table, and trying to everyone understand it in every level, and then trying to make this journey easier and not that difficult as it was with the first phase with the MES.
That's great advice. Yes, people are always the number one challenge we find in our research when we ask people process technologies. Always the people. Jason?
I would say there's a time and a place and probably a person to be looking at the bigger picture. You look at a bigger picture for an entire project, but what I'm looking at is going to be different to what a user looks at. So getting the users to look at what's going to benefit them is the big start for me. It's let them see the benefits of what AI can do for them, and you will soon get more ideas coming from them. They'll start asking it, they'll start asking you, and they'll come out and start helping the entire process, instead of me trying to look at the entire thing and say, right, okay, this is how, as a company, as a whole, this is how we're going to run. It can't work like that. You know, we've got to get ideas from every member of the team. You know, just because there's someone on the shop floor putting a cabinet together doesn't mean that they're not going to have an idea on how data can help them. So let them ask the questions.
So yeah, involve everyone and really make it collaborative. I like that. Nasser, what do you have as advice?
My advice would be that take these digitalization, the new technologies as tools that can support your business strategy. So look at the strategy that you have and to use these tools to reach the goals of the strategy, because this is the only way you can prove a proof of concept. That's the only way you can have a business case that these tools are going to make it more efficient to reach whatever the goals are in your strategy. So think 5 years, 10 years, and see where you want to be. And based on that, think about the standard platform that you want to have so you can build upon it and start small. Pick some place where the group is supportive. Pick a place where people are going to support you and they like to have that change made. Because the innovation, if it doesn't happen, the technology is not going to do anything. So pick some place, and I'm very sure this is the only way to go forward. So,
I love it. Okay, that's great. Find the rich soil and plant your seed there. I got it. Good deal. All right. So I want to move on. We have a couple of questions from the audience. We're probably only going to get to one, maybe two of them at most. But I'd like to sort of make sure we at least get to a little of that. This question came in saying, Nasser mentioned strict use of business cases for any investments, and they're looking for you to share concrete examples of a successful AI business case that was approved and what kinds of returns you're actually seeing. And actually, another question is very similar around sort of how do you measure the success? How do you measure your ROI?
Yeah, I did answer. Yeah, I did answer these. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off because of the time, but I did answer those by text, but and in the mention. But we picked a process which was kind of a heart of our manufacturing. We picked something which we have in 16 different other places. So we picked something which was, and it was very strategic, driven, conversion cost, safety, and carbon footprint. And how did we calculate the benefit? We calculated by using AI and going back, if last 2 years we would have used this AI, what kind of returns we'll get. And we saw about 1% to 2% yield improvement, which affects the carbon footprint, affects the conversion cost, and also in certain cases was a safety related thing. So those, I think
that's great.
Yeah.
Jason, David, do you have anything to add on ROI and making sure that use cases are effective?
In our case, we are not that protocolized, right? And I mean, we just are starting with small pilot projects, and we see immediately because in the end, each department sees whether there is something we can do there with the tools we have available or not, and they do little try. And if it is the case, then we go ahead. But we still don't have any standardized procedure for deciding on if go ahead or not.
Fair enough.
Pretty much same as David.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds great. That sounds great. All right. Well, so I just want to leave you with a few key concepts that from this conversation and from the research, no matter where you are on the smart manufacturing journey, AI and analytics are delivering benefits. The challenges are real, but they are worth overcoming. And you can hear that these companies, these 3 companies these guys represent, have done that. So be sure to prepare your data and your team, select your use cases, and really get going. Now, again, just a reminder, I know Dennis already mentioned this, but get your resources on the event platform while you're still here. Thank you again very much to our sponsors. And, I just want to hand it back over to Dennis to wrap us up.
Thank you very much. A quick reminder to the audience, please take a moment to complete the feedback form that will appear on your screen. We appreciate it. And that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank our panel moderator, Julie Frazier, our panelists, David Batet, Nasser Ahmad, and Jason Bissett, and our sponsors, Tech-Clarity and MESA International, for today's presentation. On behalf of Industry Week, we hope you have a productive remainder of the day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.